Picture the last time you were standing in the supplement aisle, or maybe just scrolling through wellness products online.
Oh, yeah, just staring at that endless wall of plastic bottles.
Exactly. And ask yourself, do you know what actually made you choose the bottle you ended up buying?
Most people would probably say the ingredients.
Right. We like to think we're being logical. We spend hours tracking our macros, researching these peer-reviewed longevity studies, optimizing our diets. But when it actually comes time to buy a wellness product,
We totally abandon logic.
we do. A massive 72% of consumers make their purchasing decision based entirely on the graphic design of the packaging.
It's staggering when you say it out loud.
It is a wild paradox. We basically outsource our critical thinking about what goes into our bodies to the aesthetics of a sticker. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Today, our mission is to uncover the hidden psychology, the incredibly strict legal realities, and the cutting-edge engineering that dictate exactly how health products are presented to you.
It really is an entire ecosystem that most people never see.
And we are pulling all of our insights today from a fantastic source. It's the 2025 Complete Supplement Label Design and Manufacturing Guide, published by Superior Supplement Manufacturing.
It's such a fascinating look behind the curtain because it strips away the magic of marketing and just exposes the raw mechanics of consumer behavior.
Right.
We're looking at this really unique intersection of disciplines today. You have the psychological triggers of color theory colliding with the rigid, almost draconian anatomy of an FDA-compliant label.
And then you have the literal physical engineering of the materials themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alongside these multi-billion-dollar trends that are reshaping the industry this year.
Exactly. If you have ever taken a vitamin or mixed a protein shake or bought one of those specialized gummies, this entire system directly impacts how you evaluate trust and ultimately how you spend your money.
I want to start with that 72% statistic because it really sets the stage for everything else. Almost 3/4 of us are buying a health product based on the outside of the bottle.
Which sounds absurd from a purely logical standpoint.
It does, but I know there is a deeper psychological mechanism at play here.
There is, and it comes down to a concept called cognitive fluency.
Cognitive fluency. Okay, unpack that.
So, in a hyper-crowded market, think of an aisle with 500 different bottles or an endless Amazon search result. Your brain simply does not have the time or, frankly, the caloric energy to pick up every single bottle.
Right, you're not going to stand there and read 50 ingredient lists.
Exactly. You can't compare the clinical dosages of every option. It's just way too much cognitive load. So your brain relies on visual heuristics.
Which are basically mental shortcuts.
Precisely. When a product's packaging perfectly matches your internal subconscious expectation of what a quote-unquote healthy or effective product should look like, your brain rewards you. You get this tiny hit of dopamine.
Oh, wow. So that feeling of cognitive ease translates directly into brand trust.
Yes, it feels less like a visual trick and more like an evolutionary mechanism we use to avoid being overwhelmed.
And the data from Superior Supplement Manufacturing shows exactly how companies weaponize these visual shortcuts. I mean, weaponize is a strong word, but they definitely leverage them, especially with color.
Absolutely. The color palette is the very first filter your brain applies before you even read a single word on the label.
We all kind of know that green means natural, right? But the strategy goes so much deeper than that.
Way deeper. If a brand is launching a natural or organic supplement, yes, they're leaning heavily into specific greens, earth tones, and beiges. Those colors bypass the logical brain and instantly signal sustainability and clean sourcing.
But the contrast is where it gets really fun. I was actually looking at my own pre-workout powder this morning, and the contrast to my daily vitamins is hilarious.
Let me guess, neon and black.
Yes. My daily vitamins are wrapped in these soothing, minimalist greens, but the pre-workout looks like a literal hazard sign. It's all neon reds, bright oranges, vibrant yellows, and stark blacks.
And that is entirely by design. Those warm, aggressive colors actually provoke a physiological response.
Wait, really? Just looking at the bottle?
Yes. Studies show that looking at vibrant reds can slightly increase your heart rate and raise your blood pressure.
That is wild.
It conveys energy, power, and performance, which is exactly the physiological state an athlete wants to be in before hitting the gym. The packaging is prepping your body before you even open the tub.
That's incredible. Now, contrast that with a company pushing, say, a highly clinical, evidence-based nootropic or a specialized longevity vitamin.
They will completely pivot. You'll see blues, crisp whites, and silvers.
Right, because that creates a sterile, professional, almost medical-grade vibe. It tells you this isn't some trendy fad. This is serious science.
Exactly. And the targeting gets highly specific across demographics. For women's health products, there is a heavy reliance on soft pastels, purples, and rose gold.
Colors that signal a gentle, caring energy without falling into those tired, overly pink cliches.
Right. And for senior wellness, you see a lot of deep blues, greens, and navy that signals stability, trust, and calm.
What about the high-end stuff, like if you'd really want to charge you a premium?
The luxury market leans hard into matte black, gold, silver, and white. It screams sophistication. There is almost a luxury tax associated with seeing a matte black bottle on a shelf.
I can totally see that. But it's not just the colors, though, is it? It's the typography and the layout, too.
Oh, typography is huge. The guide highlights that successful brands use clean, sans serif fonts. Think Helvetica or Open Sans. They look modern, but more importantly, they're highly legible.
What really stood out to me in the source material was the strategic use of white space. We tend to think of white space as just a design choice to make things look pretty or minimalist, but it actually serves a cognitive function.
It acts as cognitive relief. You can think of clean white space on a label like taking a deep breath before processing complex information.
I love that analogy.
If a label is cluttered with text and graphics, your brain feels overwhelmed. You lose that cognitive fluency we just talked about, and you put the bottle back.
But if the design has room to breathe, it instinctively feels more premium, transparent, and trustworthy.
Exactly. And they pair that white space with visual shortcuts, like benefit icons. Instead of writing a dense paragraph about how a product is naturally sourced, they just drop a tiny leaf icon that says non-GMO or vegan.
Instant recognition.
And they also use clean label messaging, which is a fascinating shift in consumer trust over the last decade.
Yeah, the clean label messaging is interesting. It's no longer just about what is in the product.
Yeah.
Brands are heavily highlighting what is not in it. Big, bold letters saying no artificial colors or gluten-free.
That shift reflects a broader cultural skepticism. Consumers are more educated now, but they're also more wary of synthetic additives. Highlighting the absence of negative ingredients is often more powerful than highlighting the presence of positive ones.
But here's where the friction really starts for these companies.
Yeah.
It is one thing to design a beautiful, minimalist, white space-heavy label to build all this psychological trust.
Right. The fun part.
Right. But then reality hits. The FDA demands you cover half that bottle in mandatory, highly specific text and barcodes. How do designers balance the psychological need for white space with the legal reality of compliance?
That is the eternal struggle between the marketing department and the compliance lawyers. Every supplement bottle essentially has a split personality to manage this friction.
The two faces of the label.
Exactly. The FDA framework basically divides the label into two distinct areas. First, you have the principal display panel, or the PDP.
I love the industry analogy for this. The PDP is essentially the front-facing movie poster.
Yeah.
It's what grabs your attention on the shelf or the screen. But legally, it has to include two non-negotiable elements. The statement of identity, meaning it must clearly identify itself as a dietary supplement or herbal supplement, and the net quantity of contents, so you know exactly how many capsules or ounces are inside.
Precisely. The movie poster gets you to engage. Then you turn the bottle to the right and you find the information panel.
The end credits.
The end credits. It houses all the heavy legal lifting. This is where you find the highly standardized supplement facts panel, which has incredibly rigid formatting rules regarding font size, hairline borders, and the exact order of nutrients.
It's also where the ingredient list lives, right? And by law, those secondary ingredients have to be listed in descending order by weight.
Correct. Plus, it has to include the manufacturer information.
And brands really have to stay on top of this, because these rules are not static. The 2025 regulatory landscape introduces some major updates, and failing to comply doesn't just mean a slap on the wrist.
Not at all. It means massive, costly product recalls.
Let's talk about the three big updates for this year. First, the FDA has enhanced the definitions for what a brand can legally claim as healthy on their packaging.
Which is a long time coming.
Seriously, you can't just slap the word healthy on a sugar-coated gummy vitamin anymore just because it has a little bit of vitamin C in it. It has to meet very specific nutritional thresholds now.
That is a vital update for consumer protection. It closes a loophole that marketers have exploited for years. The second major update involves strengthened allergen requirements.
Right, the sesame rule.
Exactly. Under the latest guidance, sesame is now strictly classified and declared as a major food allergen. This is huge for the manufacturing side.
Because if a product uses sesame even as an incidental additive, it has to be listed.
Even if there is just a risk of cross-contamination in the facility, it must be prominently declared.
The third big update for 2025 is a massive shift toward accountability. Labels are now strictly required to include a domestic contact, either a U.S. bench address or a domestic phone number, specifically dedicated to adverse event reporting.
If someone has a bad reaction to a supplement, they need an immediate, legally mandated way to report it to the manufacturer, who then has to report it to the FDA.
It forces transparency. It ensures that shell companies can't just sell products without a traceable line of responsibility.
Exactly. But ensuring all of that mandatory text is perfectly legible while surviving the real world brings us to a surprisingly complex part of the industry, the physical engineering of the label itself.
I think a lot of consumers assume a supplement label is just a standard paper sticker run through a commercial printer.
A lot of new brand owners assume that too until their first batch gets ruined.
Because we all intuitively know that a cheap, peeling sticker makes a product look expired or low quality. If you buy a supplement and keep it in your humid, steamy bathroom cabinet for a month and the label starts wrinkling,
You subliminally think the pills inside have gone bad.
exactly. But I hadn't considered the actual material science required to prevent that.
The physical integrity of the packaging is directly tied to brand perception. That is why professional manufacturers follow a rigorous 5-step methodology before a drop of ink is ever printed.
Walk us through that process.
Step 1 is defining the audience and market position. Step 2 is competitive analysis. Step 3 is choosing the container format.
Which matters a lot for the artwork.
Huge impact. Wrapping text around a small round bottle requires a vastly different geometric layout than printing on a flat, flexible pouch. Step 4 is designing the panels, and Step 5 is testing and validating before mass production.
And then comes the material science. The gold standard, according to the guide, and most common material used today, is called BOPP.
Yes, BOPP.
That stands for biaxially oriented polypropylene, right?
You got it. The biaxially oriented part means the plastic film is stretched in 2 different directions during manufacturing.
Okay, why does that matter?
It makes the material incredibly strong, highly resistant to tearing, and fundamentally moisture resistant. It also holds vibrant ink colors beautifully without bleeding. It really is the workhorse of the supplement industry.
But it's not the only option. You also have vinyl.
Vinyl is interesting. It offers extreme durability and is highly chemical resistant. The classic example here is fish oil or liquid tinctures.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. If you have a paper label and a drop of fish oil runs down the side of the bottle, that label is permanently stained and ruined. It looks terrible.
Right. Vinyl survives that chemical exposure effortlessly, but it is the most expensive option, so it is usually reserved for premium liquids.
Then you have paper. Very eco-friendly and cost-effective, but strictly meant for dry storage environments. Think pantry supplements, not bathroom cabinets.
Definitely. Keep paper out of the bathroom. And for brands wanting to push the envelope on modern design, you see a lot of clear and metallic films.
I love the clear films. They give that sleek, no-label look where the text appears to float directly on the bottle, allowing you to see the actual gummies or capsules inside.
It builds a lot of trust through transparency, literally. And metallic films are used heavily in the sports nutrition and luxury categories to create a high-end, reflective appearance.
And once you pick the foundation material, you have to engineer the finish. You have gloss finishes, which make those neon pre-workout colors pop.
But they can cause a massive amount of glare under harsh fluorescent retail lighting, making the FDA panels hard to read.
Right. Then you have matte finishes, which reduce the glare and give the bottle a very elegant, sophisticated feel.
Yeah.
But the one that really fascinated me is the textured finish. They are literally engineering the label to have a tactile feel.
It transforms the packaging into a multisensory experience. When you pick up a heavy glass bottle with a matte, slightly textured label, your brain registers the physical weight and the tactile friction as indicators of high quality.
It's a physical validation of your purchase decision.
Exactly, and understanding these materials is becoming even more crucial as we look at the massive economic shifts happening right now in 2025.
The market data here is staggering. The supplement packaging market is projected to skyrocket from $12.7 billion in 2024 to $23.1 billion by the year 2034.
It is almost doubling in a single decade.
And a huge driver of that growth and a major trend defining 2025 is the sustainability surge.
The barrier to entry for sourcing raw supplement ingredients has lowered significantly over the years, which means brand differentiation is now heavily reliant on packaging values.
And the data shows that 82% of consumers are now willing to pay a premium for sustainable packaging. That is an 8% jump just since 2021.
It's a massive shift. So labels aren't just looking pretty anymore. They are serving as primary marketing tools by explicitly highlighting eco-friendly sourcing, post-consumer recycled plastics, and biodegradable inks. That is what is driving people to open their wallets today.
Alongside sustainability, there is a major shift in the physical formats we are buying. People are moving away from traditional giant tubs of powder and bulky pill bottles.
Convenience is king right now.
Exactly. The guide highlights a 22% surge in demand for electrolyte supplements alone, which is driving a huge trend towards single-serve convenience formats. We are talking about tear-open pouches and those little stick packs you pour directly into a water bottle.
Which presents a monumental challenge for graphic designers and compliance teams.
I can only imagine. Trying to read the microscopic FDA warning on a tiny electrolyte stick pack is a nightmare.
You have to fit the principal display panel, the information panel, the allergen warnings, and the domestic contact info onto a narrow little foil stick that is going to be crumpled up in someone's gym bag.
It requires highly specialized, incredibly compact labeling techniques to remain legally compliant while still looking like a premium product.
It really does. And that spatial limitation leads perfectly into perhaps the most defining design trend of 2025, the digital-first shift.
Right, because for decades, the entire philosophy of supplement labeling was based on the physical retail shelf. How do you stand out next to 5 competitors under grocery store lighting?
But today, the primary point of sale for a massive percentage of these brands is e-commerce.
It's not about the retail shelf anymore. It's about thumbnail readability.
Thumbnail readability, yes.
When a designer is creating a label today, they aren't just visualizing it in your hand. They have to ensure that the brand name, the core benefit, and the product type are perfectly legible when that bottle is shrunk down to a tiny 200-pixel square on an Amazon listing.
Or when it is quickly scrolling past on Instagram or TikTok feed, if a customer cannot instantly read what the product is on their 6-inch phone screen in half a second, they will not click on it.
This digital-first reality fundamentally changes the design hierarchy. It is forcing brands away from intricate, complex artwork.
Instead, you are seeing larger, bolder fonts, starker color contrasts, and highly simplified graphics, because complex designs just turn into an unreadable, muddy blur on a smartphone screen.
But designing the perfect digital label is only half the battle. Bringing it into the physical world and ensuring what is on the label perfectly matches what is in the pill requires a massive, highly regulated infrastructure.
The insights from Superior supplement manufacturing really outline how complex this manufacturing ecosystem actually is.
A company like Superior doesn't just print the stickers. They manage the entire end-to-end realization of the product. They have research and development departments figuring out the actual chemical formulations, stabilizing the ingredients, and engineering the flavoring.
And the labeling application processes change drastically depending on the manufacturing format.
Right, because a facility has to adapt to manufacturing hard capsules, pressed tablets, loose powders, liquid drops, soft gels, or gummies.
And each format changes the packaging. A gummy vitamin aimed at children requires a larger container with a specialized child-resistant cap, which completely alters the label dimensions compared to, say, a small glass tincture with a dropper.
And what truly ties the physical label to the manufacturing floor are the facility certifications. We talked earlier about those little benefit icons on the label, the visual shortcuts that build trust.
You cannot just print an organic or NSF icon on your bottle because it balances out your graphic design.
No, you definitely cannot. The manufacturing facility itself has to hold the proper audited certifications to legally back up every single claim printed on that label.
Let's unpack some of those acronyms because they aren't just marketing jargon, they are legal shields. The baseline is GMP Good Manufacturing Practice.
For you listening, this isn't just a fancy plaque in the factory lobby. It is an FDA-enforced standard, meaning every single batch is rigorously tested to ensure that the exact milligrams of an ingredient printed on the label are exactly what is inside the pill with no contaminants.
It guarantees purity and consistency, and then you have NSF certification, which takes it a step further, specifically for athletes. NSF guarantees there's zero trace of any banned substances in the product, which requires an incredibly sterile manufacturing environment.
Facilities must also be legally certified and audited to handle organic materials or hold kosher and halal certifications to serve diverse global markets.
Every single icon on the outside of the bottle requires a rigorous, paper-trailed, audited reality on the inside of the factory.
Okay, let's take a step back and look at the massive ground we've covered today. We started by exploring the subconscious psychological triggers of color palettes, how the stark contrast of neon red and black primes you for workout, while matte black and minimalist white space create a sense of premium trust.
We navigated the strict FDA real estate rules that forced designers to balance the movie poster front with the end credits compliance back, including those crucial 2025 updates for allergen cross-contamination and adverse event accountability.
We also dug into the literal material science, how biaxially oriented plastics and textured finishes are engineered to survive your bathroom cabinet while providing tactile validation.
And finally, we explored the multi-billion-dollar market shifts pushing the industry towards sustainable sourcing, the engineering marvel of tiny stick packs, and designs optimized for a 200-pixel square on your smartphone.
It really reframes how you look at a simple product. The next time you pick up a wellness product, you won't just see a brand name. You'll see the calculated cognitive fluency of the fonts, the mandatory FDA panels, the moisture-resistant film, and the audited facility certifications.
All working together to communicate a very specific, highly engineered message to your brain.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We started with the fact that a massive 72% of consumers purchase their supplements based entirely on the packaging design.
Which is still a staggering number.
Knowing the incredible psychological engineering, the color theory, and the material science that goes into every single bottle, how much of our personal health and wellness journeys are truly driven by what our bodies actually need nutritionally, and how much is just the result of exceptionally clever graphic design?
That is exactly the question you should be asking yourself the next time you are standing in that crowded supplement aisle or scrolling through an online store.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. The next time you open your medicine cabinet or your pantry, pick up a bottle and take a really close look at the label. You might just learn a lot about how your own brain makes decisions.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep questioning what you see.